Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Luca Martel and I am a traditional artist based in Wisconsin, USA. And today we're doing MerMay Day 25, which is Pirate. So to start off, I'm masking off the mermaid and the treasure chest with Pebeo masking fluid. This is to protect it from the paint. And I'm using a rubber brush with this. You don't want to use a good regular bristle brush because it'll ruin the bristles. Although you can use like a cheap bad brush or old brush if you don't care about it. But I prefer using the rubber ones. Except for like really large areas, then I use a large cheap brush. Now I'm using a Pebeo masking fluid pen. It's the same thing, just in a pen form. Now I'm starting the background, which I'm adding a little sand at the bottom so the treasure chest has something to sit on. And now I'm adding a Schmincke Super Granulating Galaxy Black. Now I'm removing all the masking fluid. And then I'm remasking some areas like the beads and the eye and the little silver things on the corset and the belt. So pirates. I grew up watching like Pirates of the Caribbean, and I had a cousin who was absolutely obsessed with pirates, so I actually quite like pirates and their aesthetic. Well, not real pirates, their life kinda sucked. Pirates of the Caribbean is very glamorized pirate aesthetic and whatnot. Now I'm painting the skin in, and then I'll go in with some basic shading. I'm painting the tail gold, or yellow I guess, but it's supposed to look like gold. Because pirates, you know, they like gold. And I haven't, that I know of, painted a golden tail yet. I know I painted a yellow one, but I consider gold and yellow different, even though they're kind of the same thing. And I used Nickel Azo Yellow from Daniel Smith for that. It's a very good, like, base gold color. It's like a yellow with a little bit of orangey brown in it. Really unique yellow. And now I'm doing that basic shading I mentioned earlier. So I'm not really sure how cloth would necessarily work underwater, especially like a corset. That would be really, ugh, that sounds horrible actually, but this is a magical made up mermaid creature thing. It doesn't need to make sense, I don't think. And I'm painting the fin the same color as the hair just to have some cohesion. And this is not the same color as the hair or the tail, it just looks quite similar. The corset. I wanted the hat and the belt to be brown, but I wanted them to be different browns, so... And the corset is technically a brown. It looks red, but it is a brown. A very red brown. The hair and the fin are Indian yellow from Indian red from who is it? I think it's Winsor & Newton. That's a really nice, like, deep, earthy red-brown color. It's also quite opaque. Now I'm using lavender to add some shading to that blouse, I guess is what it would be. Off-the-shoulder blouse. And some red to the fabric bits on the hat. I don't really know what they're for. I just know that a lot of pirate aesthetic is very layered and has like beads and tassels and cloth. So I just added some cloth out the hat. Makes no sense. Just looks cool. And of course a feather in the cap, hat, whatever you want to call it. I wanted it to be blue because everything was already really warm. Now I'm shading the chest. And doing the hair. The same color as the fin, like I mentioned earlier. Which is that lovely Indian red. I decided the tassels weren't red enough, they were too matchy with the hair, so I added a brighter red. If you like pirates, let me know. Well, not real pirates, obviously. I quite like the pirate aesthetic and, like, storytelling and layering. It's all fun design. And I like the personality pirates tend to have in media. Now it's finally time to remove all that extra masking fluid on the gold areas and the eyes and paint them in. And the beads, of course. Can't forget the beads. I did paint the silver and gold myself, like trying to make it look silver and gold, but I did add some silver and gold metallic pen on top just to give it a little bit of shine. I did the same thing with the tail. I added some gold scales with the gold metallic marker or pen. Now I'm adding some scales in a reddish brown, because gold tends to, depending on the shade of gold, I guess I should say. A more yellow gold has a orangey brown shade, and then other ones will have like grayer. Really depends. This is a very warm gold. Now I'm adding that metallic like I mentioned before. I also added a few bits of silver. I don't know, I just thought it was interesting. It makes more sense in the gold pile than on the tail, but I thought it was interesting on the tail too. And now it's time for highlights and outlines, which is probably the most fun part because it really brings everything together and makes everything pop. So yeah, let me know what you think of this piece and if you like pirates or not, and that's about it. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time, hopefully. Have a great day. Bye-bye!